War. War never changes, and neither do ghost stories. Over the many years of Earth's history, we have never been short of international conflicts and encounters with the unexplained. Rarely ever do these two things, consistent throughout history, ever intersect. But when they do, things get downright horrifying. Hey guys, I'm Aidan, and here are the top 5 terrifying paranormal accounts from military members. Coming in at number 5 is the Diablos of the Alamo. Located in San Antonio, Texas, the Alamo, formerly known as Mission San Antonio de Valero, is renowned for its pivotal role in the Texas Revolution. It was established by Spanish Franciscan friars in the early 18th century as a mission to convert the native people to Christianity. The mission eventually became a military outpost and acquired its famous name, the Alamo, after the cottonwood trees that surrounded it. It gained its notoriety during the Texas Revolution in 1836, when in a desperate attempt to defend Texas's independence from Mexico, a group of Texan freedom fighters, including James Bowie, William B. Travis, and Davy Crockett, held the Alamo against General Santa Anna's formidable Mexican forces. The siege lasted for 13 days, and despite their courageous efforts, the Texan defenders were overrun on March 6, 1836. The battle became a symbol of Texan determination and resistance, and "Remember the Alamo" became a rallying cry for the Texan forces, spurring them to victory in later battles. With such a rich history, and for it to be the resting place for countless dead soldiers, it's no wonder the Alamo is haunted to bits. It wasn't long after the Battle of the Alamo had ended that the first sightings of ghosts at the historical site began to surface. General Santa Anna, angered by the idea of the mission becoming a shrine to the rebellious Texans, ordered the historic church to be burnt down. However, when a group of cavalrymen arrived to carry out the task, they encountered 6 ghostly figures, which they called Diablos, standing before the Alamo, each holding a flaming sword. This scared the absolute socks off the soldiers sent to burn the Alamo, and they left with a chilling story to tell and soiled underwear. Rumor has it those entities protecting the Alamo were the spirits of the fallen soldiers from the battle. Others argue that they might be the old Franciscan monks who once guarded the mission. General Andrade, skeptical of the tales, decided to go to the Alamo himself to burn it down as ordered by General Santa Anna. But when he arrived with his men and directed them to the Longhouse barracks, they witnessed a tall, male spirit on the roof with flaming balls in each hand. The sight was so terrifying that the soldiers dropped to their knees in fear, unable to proceed. Andrade and his troops quickly left the mission, never to return. In fact, neither Andrade nor Santa Anna would ever revisit the Alamo ever again, and over the next decade, the once historic site fell to ruin. The story of the warrior ghost and the terrifying encounters at the Alamo became part of the lore surrounding the haunted history of the site, contributing to its reputation as one of the most haunted places in the world. But hey, at least you know where to go in case you forgot to pack a lighter, right? And at number 4 is going to be the Pusher of West Point. Located in West Point, New York, the United States Military Academy, USMA for short, was established on the 16th of March, 1802. The Academy is a world-famous educational institution for cadets commissioning into the United States Army, and is the oldest of 5 American service academies. Being over 220 years old, it's no surprise that over the years there have been several sightings of ghosts and unexplained events within the walls of the school. Cadets of both past and present have shared feelings of being watched by unseen presences while no one is there. There have also been a litany of reports of ghost sightings, with all sorts of cadets talking about seeing bone-chilling apparitions in the middle of the night. Though the most terrifying of these ghost stories comes from the early 1970s, known only as the Pusher, and the story goes like this. 2 a.m. on a gloomy October's night, 2 male cadets lay asleep in room 4714 of the North Barracks 47th Division. One of the cadets is woken up by some strange sounds they heard coming from the closet. Tired and concerned, the cadet opened the closet only to be greeted by the ghost of a soldier with eyes made of light that struck fear into the cadet like a bolt of lightning. Upon seeing the apparition, the cadet screamed and it would vanish. His roommate claimed he never saw a ghost, but felt an otherworldly coldness in the room. The ghost was described as a middle-aged soldier wearing an antique 1830s uniform with a cap, musket, and handlebar mustache. And after his first sighting, other cadets in and around the academy would report seeing the exact same ghost. He would eventually earn the nickname of the Pusher because his presence alone would make the environment so cold that his victims could do nothing but lay still until the pressure of his glacial aura relented. Due to fears of the Pusher's return, room 4714 was permanently vacated, and it turned into a study area, which worked, as since then there have been no reports of the Pusher appearing in those barracks, which is a lot smarter than what I would do to avoid him. I'd probably just wear a jacket and call it a day. Anyway, next up at number 3 is The Curse of the Silent Mother. This paranormal account was posted to Reddit 7 years ago by user CatFace0, recalling firsthand his experience with ghosts during the Vietnam War. The story begins with the poster being recruited to the Tunnel Commandos because he was very short and could fit in tight spaces. He and the other commandos' jobs to operate within the many tunnel complexes within Vietnam. Usually he would operate within, forgive me for the pronunciation error, Cu Chi tunnels near Saigon. But on this particular day, he and another commando named Benoit were sent to investigate a tunnel complex west of, again, forgive my pronunciation, Da Nang. The freshly dug tunnel was incredibly claustrophobic, giving the two men little room to move, and it stunk of rotten flesh. After tunneling for what felt like hours, the two soldiers stumbled upon an empty room, lit only by a single gas lamp. Cautiously, the two men entered, only to find a stone staircase in the corner of the room, which was unusual, as the tunnel was already several feet deep, implying that this room has been around for much longer than the tunnels were. The pair descended down the stairs for hours on end, until reaching a door at the bottom, with light seeping from beneath. Upon entering, the soldiers came across a room with 10 or so people in it, all silently rocking back and forth, staring blankly at a small altar. No matter what the pair did, those 10 people wouldn't break from their rocking trance, with their eyes completely white, even their irises. When the tunnelers went to investigate the altar, they found only a small golden statue of a beautiful woman with tentacles for legs. And no, I'm not talking about Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Terrified, the two men destroyed the room and left in a hurry. The experience scared them so much, both requested to be removed from the tunneling commandos and transferred elsewhere. The request was accepted, but it wouldn't save them, as both men began reporting hearing strange voices and whispers at night, calling out to them saying the words, "Defiler, come to the Red House." They would hear this phrase constantly, impeding on sleep and ruining their mental condition, to the point that both men were discharged and sent back home. But the whispering wouldn't stop, and it only got worse. Both men would receive clay versions of the gold statue they saw in the mail, and that same statue was left in unexplained places like the glove compartment of their cars. Later, the two would discover that they were under the curse of something known as the Silent Mother, and the only way to break this curse was to visit an ancient shrine, which the two did in order to stop hearing those whispering voices. Upon finding the shrine, painted entirely in red, they would see the walls covered in human remains, and several statuettes of the octopus-legged woman, and another stone staircase, much like the one they found in the tunnel. One can only assume that this was the Red House that the soldiers were hearing the voice talk about so often. The pair descended down the staircase, and at the bottom they found a large wooden statue of that same golden figure they saw before, which would speak to them in the same voice that they heard the whispers in. It told them to repent for desecrating one of its holy sites, and began inching towards the two men. Fortunately, the two soldiers came prepared, and instead of succumbing to death by cursed statue, they blew the Red House up sky high, getting out of the shrine at the nick of time. Probably the most American solution to an ancient curse I've ever seen. And the craziest part about it worked. The two men for the rest of their lives reported that after the incident, they never heard strange whispers again. Moving on to number 2 are the unexplained disappearances in the Swiss Alps. Amidst the tumultuous Second World War, Switzerland, ever committed to maintaining neutrality, found itself in quite the pickle, coveted by Allied and Axis powers. When Germany's acts of aggressions encroached upon the Swiss borders, the United Kingdom swiftly dispatched a company of soldiers to reinforce the defense. Thus, fate placed one British unit in a remote village nestled within the serene Swiss Alps. In the first weeks of their arrival, the villagers observed an unsettling pattern of peculiar occurrences. Items mysteriously vanishing from people's homes, sheds, and all around the mountain village. While these were brushed off as simple robberies, things quickly went dark when a young man vanished without a trace. Initially deemed an unfortunate accident, fear took root as more and more people were inexplicably disappearing. The sudden disappearances of the village's residents gave rise to a chilling rumor that a malevolent creature lurked in the foreboding mountains. The fear reached a peak when Private Reginald, a member of the British contingent, would also go missing. One ominous night, patrolling soldiers saw a figure lurking outside a house, peering through the window. Alerted by the soldiers' shouts, the mysterious intruder fled in haste. Upon chasing after the elusive figure to the outskirts of the village, it would disappear. However, the chase was not in vain, as the soldiers were able to find a cave concealed in snow. They approached the cave with caution, and upon hearing shots, they fired back into the deep darkness. After being met with silence, they soldiered on until they found the half-eaten remains of 7 residents, and laying next to them was Private Reginald with a hole in his chest. Horror gripped the hearts of the soldiers as they pieced together the ghastly truth. It was not the machinations of some monstrous creature that plagues the village, but a monster among men, Reginald himself. I just don't get why he ate only a little bit of each victim though. Like, when I get a box of chicken wings, I don't half eat all of them, right? I finish each wing, then move on to the next. What a weirdo, right guys? subject. And topping it all off at number 1 is the Lady Be Good. This paranormal account surrounds the enigmatic story of a B-17 plane named the Lady Be Good during World War II. The aircraft, part of US Army Air Forces, disappeared without a trace in 1943 during a bombing mission over Italy. Despite extensive searches, the plane and its 9 crew members seem to have vanished into thin air. The crew was assumed to have fallen in battle, just another casualty of war. However, nearly 15 years later, an oil exploration team stumbled upon the remarkably preserved wreckage of the Lady Be Good in the Libyan desert, 430 miles away from their intended target. The investigators uncovered clues that revealed the crew's desperate attempts to survive the crash and find their way back to safety. However, there was not a single body in sight. Exploring the Libyan desert, investigators would search far and wide for the remains of the crew of the Lady Be Good, but much to their chagrin, nothing would be found. Their mysterious disappearance became a subject of debate among military members and scientists alike, but the mystery would deepen when other pilots began reporting that they saw the Lady Be Good flying in the air. With its crashed remains lying in the Libyan desert, many were baffled by the return of the aircraft and were quick to call it a ghost plane. After this, many more appearances of crashed planes would appear in the air again, distracting and confusing soldiers on both sides of the war. The mystery to how the Lady Be Good returned is still up for debate to this day, but if I've learned one thing today, it's that some things are better left as just mysteries. And that's gonna conclude our video for today. Thanks for watching, guys, and it would really help us out if you liked, commented, and subscribed. See you all in the next one.